All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another Discount TED video. Today, I'm going to talk about getting the track car teched ready for the first track day of the season. It's the end of March, so it's time for track days, and it's time to wear shorts because it's still 35 degrees out, but I'm a man. So, let's walk through, the key things that you need to look at before you take your car to the track and kind of that annual service interval, and we'll go from there. All right, so starting with the brakes, first thing we're going to want to look at is our rotors themselves. See, hey, do we have like a big lip? Do we have enough meat on them? What have you? These rotors look good to me. I don't see any problems there. The next thing I'm going to look at are the pads. So if I peek in here, I can see, I'll get my finger in there, and here, hopefully we can get the focus on that. There you can see the meat left on the pad there. That's, I'll say well north of 50% anyway. I have no concerns about doing a track day on pads with that sort of depth. And then we're going to repeat it on each corner. So this is my driver's front. Then I'll walk back to my driver's rear. Look at the same thing. Rotor looks good. Pads, a little easier to see on the rears, but plenty of meat on those. Great. And you can generally expect that all four corners will be about the same if you replaced your brakes at the same time, which often you do. At least the same axle, like front and rear, you do at the same time. But yeah, this looks good to me as well. And yeah, that rotor looks good. Let's check our last set of pads here. Yeah, that looks good as well. So, rotors and pads. Good to go. We're set on that front on the brakes. The next thing we're going to do, let's look underneath and take a peek at our axle boots and connections. Okay, I'm underneath the car now, so I'm going to want to look at my differential here. Sorry, I can't get too far away from it. There we can see the differential. First thing I'm looking for is, are there any like big leaks underneath here? So, things being just a little wet, I'm not going to worry about. But, if it's actively leaking, then we've got a problem. So, differential, not only not weeping, it's bone dry, so that's great. Every year, couple of years, you'll want to change your differential fluid. This, you can see, like, this is a really new bolt on here. I'm not worried about it. I haven't had any weird noises. Everything seems to be working fine, so I'm just going to leave it. I think that's fine. Looking at each axle here, this is a passenger side one. I could see my CV boot looks good. No fluid around here. And then as it goes into the hub, same thing there. So everything looks good on that side. Let's look on the driver's side. It's a little tougher to see because the exhaust is in the way. But same dry. Looking at the boot there. Boot looks good. And the boot, as it goes into the hub, also looks good. So we're all set on that axle. As long as I'm underneath the car here, now I'm just going to look the rest of the way down the car and see if there's anything that would be a concern from a fluid perspective. So this is the back of my transmission, and I don't see any fluid coming out of here. I do see these mounts. Well, that's got good soft rubber. That's fine. So then as we go a little farther up the transmission, side of the transmission here, all looks good. Somewhere in here there's a really funny decal from BMW. Let's see if it'll come in there. There it is, lifetime oil, no service necessary. That is the best joke in German engineering. Additionally, if you look a little forward to that, you can see that looks just a little damp there at the connection between my engine and trans. I'm not going to freak out about it because I'm not losing oil, I'm not having slipping clutch, I'm not having any massive problems that make me think like, oh god, I really got to drop the trans and see what's going on in there. I do think I'm probably due for a transmission service in the next, I don't know, a few track days anyway. I've got one coming up soon that I'm not going to let it block me from doing that day, but I might just shift a little easier. But I've got no active leaks here. I changed the oil last night. You always want to do an oil change before a track day. A lot of people tell you want to do one for every single track day. A lot of people tell you to do one every 3 or 4. Use your own personal best judgment. I use high quality synthetic oil and don't have a problem with doing every few track days on it. So now that I'm at the front of the car, I want to look underneath the suspension components, just see, does everything inside here look good? Like, my boots look all right. Nothing's bent. The tie rod boots are good. No active leaks anywhere. And that passenger side makes me look happy. That's good. Let's look at the driver's side here. Same. All my boots are good. Tie rod boots. Just dirty, but what else are you gonna do? So, we've checked our brakes. We've checked for active leaks. The next thing we're going to do is check some fluids. So you want to check your oil level. Hopefully you have a dipstick in your car. The 135 does not. I've got to rely on a digital dipstick, which is not ideal. But I did that last night when I changed the oil, made sure that it's good and topped up. The next fluid is going to be our coolant. So here you can see BMW gives me a little instruction that says, hey, there's a little float guy here, and your min max, min is that it's up right at the top, and max is that this little like bulb is at the top. So let's pop this open and see where it lands. Oh, saw it pop up there. It tells me that it is floating a little bit, and we're not low. We're not all the way at the max, so I think we're set. So coolant looks good. Once a year, first track day of the year, you probably want to do a coolant flush. I haven't done a coolant flush. I might. We'll see if I do a video on that, or we'll see if I pay someone for it, because I don't feel like doing it. So we've covered brakes, we've covered leaks, we've covered coolant and fluids. The last kind of thing that I'm going to check are general safety equipment. So if you've got stock seats, this is less imperative, or not less imperative, but less likely to be an issue. But what I'm going to do is, generally speaking, just make sure that everything's tight. Give the seat a jostle. Everything seems good. My seat bolts are good. My belts are good and solid. Lower belts, good and solid. My anti-dive belt is solid. So we're good. I feel good about taking this car on the track now. The one thing that I have left to do is I'm going to flush the brake fluid. That's an annual service for, at least an annual service for track events. Some people do it more often than that. Depends how many track days a year you do. For how many I do, once a year is fine. And I'll do a separate video on that. But this is how you make sure that your car's ready for the track. So make sure that you've got good brakes, good brake fluid. You've got no major leaks, and good, coolant, good oil, and good safety equipment. And you're set. Go have fun.